So let's open the portal and go back in time. We're going to go back in time, but not too far back in time. Let's go to recently, like 2021 to be exact. And I want to talk about a time where AEW had an opportunity to really knock WWE down a peg, and they didn't think the window was as small as it actually ended up being. Let's talk about it. So WWE in 2021 had just got off the pandemic, and in the pandemic, they didn't do too hot. You know, like, I'll be honest, it was kind of interesting where they were trying to do like the whole streaming and Zoom crowd and stuff, and I don't know, I wasn't really too into it, to be honest with you. And Vince was still kind of at the helm. NXT was doing great, but WWE Raw, for instance, was something that I was watching a lot of, and they felt kind of like I don't know, it was weird. And I had heard all these rumors about Vince like coming in the day of and tearing up scripts and putting on the same matches over and over again, and didn't have a whole lot of talent, I guess, to really work with, or that he wanted to work with. It was a very interesting time to be a WWE fan, because they had some talent, but it was like they didn't really have any interesting stories going on. Nothing. Just so you know, in full disclosure, I just got to let you guys know this. Like, I really wasn't watching the WWE regularly at this time. So at this time, I was not watching Raw a lot. I wasn't watching SmackDown. I wasn't even watching NXT, okay? Like, I was reading the results and I was watching clips, but the only thing that I was watching religiously was AEW Dynamite Wednesday nights. I was watching it all the time from the inception of AEW Dynamite. I was tuning in and I was checking it out, and I was excited about the product, okay? I was really rooting for those guys to win. Like the Daily's Place, when they had Brody Lee show up, when they had Matt Hardy show up, when they had Eric Bischoff on the show, when they were doing stuff with Kenny Omega as the heater, you know, dude, I was watching it all the time. I was super excited about the product, and there was no more excited. I wasn't ever as excited as I was for AEW than in 2021 when they had Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Bryan Danielson. We're going to get into that. But, I mean, what a roster and what excitement was in the air. And then, I don't know, WWE just wasn't hitting. Nothing that was really compelling. You had Happy Corbin. You had Austin Theory being shoved down our throats. You had Roman Reigns still being shoved down our throats. And you had like T-Bar and Dio Madden and Mustafa Ali. T-Bar was Donovan Dijakovic, okay? Dijak, you know, and he was wearing this mask, and Dio Madden was just doing this weird thing, and Mustafa Ali, and they were supposed to be these rebels, these like insurgents or something. I don't know. It was very weird. And it was like Mustafa Ali was trying, like he had videos that he had posted of gimmicks that he wanted to run, like being a politician. I think something along the lines of what he's doing right now in TNA. And they just getting shot down. And it was like all of these like new and exciting things that these wrestlers were trying to do, and Vince was just not having it. And he wanted to do the same old essentially, you know. And it seemed like guys like Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley were just kind of swimming in obscurity, you know, like nothing exciting. The only thing that looked exciting in the slightest was Roman Reigns at the inception, at the beginning, at the genesis of his Bloodline Head of the Table program. That looked like that was the only thing that was hot. Like all attention was on that, and everything else was taking a back seat, way in the back seat. And there was something going on there. Very interesting time. A lot of the guys from NXT were coming in, and they were just being like, I mean, they had some great momentum. Like I remember like Bobby Roode, you know, like glorious, like that theme was like infectious, and he just wasn't getting the proper shine, the same that he was getting in NXT. And the same with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross had some great momentum. He comes in and he gets a helmet, you know, and it's like, man, what are we doing? You know, I don't know if that was 2021 with Karrion Kross, but you know what I'm saying though. It was like they had these opportunities, and it just seemed like Vince was more interested in doing the same old, and didn't really feel like that competitive spirit to get out and really put on some exciting television. You know, it was kind of like the same old rinse, repeat. On the other side, you had AEW. If I told you in 2021, AEW had CM Punk having his first match in like 8 years. They had Sting, who was showing up. They had Cody Rhodes. They had Jade Cargill. They had Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole that were debuting. They had Kenny Omega. They had Christian Cage. They had Chris Jericho, and they had Jon Moxley. If I told you they had that roster, what would you have said?
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
If they had an opportunity to utilize all of that talent. And I think it was All Out in 2021. CM Punk against Darby Allin. And it was Kenny Omega against Christian Cage. And after Kenny Omega beat Christian Cage, and they were doing some TNA crossover at that time as well, Adam Cole comes out. The crowd goes absolutely fucking insane. And then after that, Adam Cole hugs Kenny Omega, and the Bucks and the Good Brothers were there as well. And then all of a sudden, Bryan Danielson shows up and the crowd explodes, right? So I think Cody Rhodes wasn't on the show because I think he was on maternity leave or paternity leave or something like that. I mean, he had just had a kid, I think. So he wasn't on that show, but they still had Cody Rhodes as well. So AEW had MJF that was on fire, had Chris Jericho, who was doing some good stuff at that time, had a bomb tag team division, FTR, Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, the Acclaimed, the LAX, Santana and Ortiz. Just an amazing array of talent in their tag team division. Cody Rhodes, MJF, CM Punk, Darby Allin was doing good business for them as well. Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, who at the time was touted as the best wrestler on the planet. That is a roster that can go head-to-head with the WWE, especially at that time, and really do some damage, okay? So I think it was September was All Out 2021. By January of 2022, they lost Cody Rhodes. And at that point, in my opinion, it all started to plummet. I mean, it all started to go downhill. It was almost as if Cody Rhodes saw something and said, you know what, y'all, I'm out. And they really couldn't capitalize on the momentum. I mean, they had some great opportunities. CM Punk against MJF, probably the best feud I've ever seen in AEW at that time. Their promos, everything was exciting. I remember like driving home and watching the promo between CM Punk and MJF. Like, I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. I had to keep my eyes on the road, but I was like drawn to the energy that was emitting from my phone by watching those two go back and forth in the ring. And something happened and they kept losing momentum. It was like they couldn't get it back, you know? It was like, you know, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. You know, it was like, everyone is a suspect. What movie is that from? And it was like, guys were like, you know, guys weren't getting used a lot on television. It was like they started to disappear. They were sitting around looking at each other like, we ain't got no job. We got no food.
Our pets' heads are falling off!
But it was like they couldn't figure out. It was like things were escalating so quickly that they didn't know what to do. Like they didn't know how to pick up the pieces that were left over. And, you know, they were still doing some good stuff. But imagine if they had the roster that they had towards the end of 2021 today. Think about what WWE is doing, their type of business that they're doing right now. They have Cody Rhodes. They have CM Punk, right? Those are at the top. Merchandise sellers, the top programs in the company, they're at the top, okay? It's almost as if AEW had some weapons and they had a chance to, like, not knock the WWE off their feet, but at least hit them where it hurts and maybe knock them down a peg or two, okay? And it was like WWE appointed themselves a new leader, got a stronger army, and then started using the weapons that the AEW was using and use it against them. And it happened so quick. It happened so fast that AEW didn't know what to do, and they couldn't get any new weapons to battle back from that, you know?
All our strengths, none of our weaknesses.
It's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy how that happened. And it's like a part of me wishes that, you know, that AEW can still capitalize. But right now it's like a chess game, you know? It's like WWE is using all of AEW's weapons against them, and all of WWE's weapons that AEW has is either like out of ammo or the user manual is not there, and so they're rendered useless. You know what I mean? That's like the best metaphor that I got right now for what AEW is going through. And it's hard because they had so much momentum, and it's tough for a company to like bounce back. But see, then you look at the WWE from like 2019 to like 2022, 2023, like, man, I think it really started when they got Cody Rhodes. That's when they started to change and they started to really build up momentum. So, but that was like a 3-year period. I'd even go back as far as 2017, 2018. Man, it was a long time of WWE just sucking ass, man. I went to one of the shows in 2018. It was not good. It was not good. So they were able to turn momentum around. You know, they needed a complete overhaul in order for that to really start to take shape. I'm not insinuating that the AEW needs to do that, but there needs to be a swift change of something that goes on to kind of shift the environment. And I believe that they're doing certain things. They're taking some steps in order to do that. If you looked at this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, in my opinion, I thought they did a great job with their video packages, a great job of getting you invested in the matches to come at All In, something that they didn't do last year with All In. I think they're doing a better job this year. There's a lot more buildup. The excitement is not the same, though. Last year, there was a lot of excitement. There was just this buzz. There was just this energy that you felt going into All In that you don't see or feel for this All In 2024. All In 2023, no buildup. Like none. Non-existent buildup. The matches were like thrown together. Here, have some matches, right? This year, matches are more planned out. There's a concerted effort to get you to care, but the buzz is just not there. And maybe there will be buzz on the other side of All In. So maybe there's this build with like this concerted effort to get you to care about the matches, so that when you do invest on the other side of that, they give you and present you with something that you're going to be talking about for, you know, days, maybe even weeks, months, or even a year. Okay, every time I do that, I think of the Rembrandts. So that's just, you know, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But yeah, you know, like maybe there is something that they're trying to build towards to get everybody that, you know, excited about it, you know. As far as like the video packages, though, I think they got a lot of television time with Rampage and Collision and Dynamite that they can utilize for like a recap show. Like I've said it on Twitter, I think that Rampage can be a recap show where they do video packages, highlights from Collision and Collision and Dynamite, and proper build up to some of their pay-per-views. I think that can be something that Rampage could really help in regards to building up towards Collision and Dynamite. Might be something they should think about. I know they tried to do that online, but it's really, really hard to consistently watch, you know, AEW on YouTube or AEW on Twitter or even on Twitch or wherever they're at, or Instagram, where they're showing you the hype and build up to a lot of the shows and a lot of the pay-per-views. I think it's far more easy, even with how television is slowly becoming antiquated. I think it is easier to put Rampage on and have it be that, you know, like what WWF Mania was, you know, with Todd Pettengill, or what WCW Power Hour was, or WCW Worldwide. You know, you can still have some matches if you choose to, but mostly just a recap show of the week with Collision and Dynamite and build up to the pay-per-view, and just a place where video packages live. And then you can still do some of the better, you know, video packages on Dynamite and Collision if you so choose to kind of continue that build. I know it's very old school, but AEW can really do that in a way that WWE is not doing that. WWE is going the way of episodic storytelling in a way where it's going to be cinema. It's going to be like a television show. AEW can go the way of what it was like to watch wrestling in the 80s and the 90s and put a fresh spin on it. And I've been waiting for them to utilize that because it would separate them so much. And I feel like Tony Khan is so into distinguishing between he's so interested in being the antithesis of the WWE, that something like that can be just that little thing that makes them different. And I'm waiting to see something like that happen. But if he's going to chase competition, it's going to be hard. You're going to be looked at as WWE light. And there's a lot of things that you can't do that the WWE will always do better, in my opinion. So you can't beat WWE doing WWE. And WWE can beat you doing what you do. That's just the way that they've been built. So it's going to be hard if AEW is trying to beat WWE at their own game. But if they try and do something and establish themselves in a different way, then they can do a lot. So this whole video was talking about the momentum that AEW had in 2021. Can they get back to the way that was at that window of time, where I'm sure they had no idea that window was going to be so small? Nobody thought that Vince would ever step down. Nobody thought that Vince would give up all of his stocks. Nobody thought that Triple H would take over the WWE. Nobody. We thought Vince would die in that position. And all of a sudden, just like that, the WWE changed and their momentum grew. And there was really nothing that Tony Khan could do to stop it. I think you can argue that there were a lot of things he could have done, but really, it happened so fast. It happened so fast that there was nothing that really he could do to stop it. But now he has an opportunity to recreate some of that momentum. You got guys out there, and I know, going to pick up more guys, it's only going to do some damage, but you got Ricochet, you got Bobby Lashley, you got MVP, you got some guys out there, you got Nick Nemeth. You got some guys out there that you can do some things with. Mustafa Ali is another one. I don't know. I mean, you got Alexander Hammerstone is another one. Alexander Hammerstone, a lot of people don't know who Hammerstone is, but he's got a history with MJF. You could bring him in as a heavy. You know, I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Wardlow. I don't know what they're doing with Ricky Starks, but I don't know what they're doing with Miro. God, I haven't seen Miro in forever. You know, hopefully Adam Cole comes back and he's actually able to put on some great stuff. But there are some things that they could do. Hopefully they're going in the right direction. We'll see what happens after All In. But they are going to have to do a lot in order to recreate that momentum from that time period, because at that point, I mean, they had everything in front of them. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Christian Cage, Chris Jericho, Sting. I mean, what a roster. If you look at that roster now, 3 years later, back then, oh man, they had it all. They had it all. But things happen, man. Things happen. But what do you guys think? Is it a chance that AEW can recreate that momentum that they had in 2021? Is it going to be too difficult? Are they going to have to go in a different route? What do you think is going on at All In? Do you think it's going to change the landscape of AEW going forward? You guys let me know in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to be fascinated to see what your opinion is. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. I'm going to leave a couple of the links up here somewhere on one of the corners. One of the most recent videos that I put out, I talk a lot about Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. I talk a lot about AEW, WWE, and pro wrestling alike. I did a video where I said this match ruined modern day wrestling. So look for that video in my videos in the library and on my channel, and let me know if you think that match is the match that ruined modern day wrestling. So until then, you guys, try and stay united, and I'll see you soon.